Please join me in welcoming professional speaker, referral consultant, and former Chippendale dancer, Matt Ward.
That is me, Michael. Thank you so much. I am so excited about this specific conference because, like you, 2020 was a blank show, and what we're trying to do is recover in 2021. Our focus in 2021 is to grow our businesses. I hope you're there with me on this. If you are, just type grow in the chat. Now, what I'm hoping is that you're here right now on this live presentation and maybe even watching the recording because you want more referrals in your service-based business. That's the idea. And so ideally, I think we should just get started. Are you ready? All right. Now, that's the only impression you're going to get today. That's it. I am Matthew Ward, not Matthew McConaughey. So let's get started. This is my keynote speaker strikes a pose photo. Now, I can guarantee you the last time I did that on a live stage, non-virtual, was over a year ago. It was January of 2020. And that's a struggle for a lot of people, struggle for me because I love being on planes and traveling all over the country. But now I'm in virtual and I'm doing this from my home virtual studio. Now, I can also guarantee you that that is a photoshopped photo. This one, on the other hand, is not. That is dapper Matt Ward. That is my high school senior prom photo. Now, you can see the dapperness in there, right? What you can't see is all the ladies lined up. They're just out of frame. I assure you they're there. Now, here's the thing. That was taken just close to my high school in Hershey, Pennsylvania. That's right. I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania. Now, normally in a live audience, I would say, who else has been to Hershey, Pennsylvania? So if you've been to Hershey, PA, just type Hershey in the chat, and we'll know that some people here have actually been to Chocolate Town, USA. Look at that, Deb and Lynn. That's awesome. Hershey is my hometown. I grew up there, right? And if you've ever been to Hershey, you know two things. Two things are iconic about Hershey. Number one, the streetlights are wrapped in unwrapped Hershey Kisses. That's right. So if you've never been, you gotta go. You gotta go, Christine. You gotta see this in real time. The streetlights are wrapped in unwrapped Hershey Kisses. And number two thing about Hershey is that it smells like chocolate. That's right. Now, I can't see you do this. In a live audience, I would, but go ahead. Just lean back, tilt your head up, take a big, deep breath. You smell that? No, it smells like bacon from breakfast or coffee on your desk. That's right. But I grew up in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and here's the thing about Hershey's. Hershey's is an iconic brand, right? And the big question I've always really, truly wondered is, how does a small business create an iconic brand for themselves? How do they set themselves apart so that they are recognized on a regular basis when their brand shows up? Well, today I'm going to walk you through that process so that you yourself can create an iconic brand. You see, you don't need millions of customers buying your Hershey Kisses. What you need is 10, 20, 50, or 100, maybe a couple hundred customers, depending on your business. We don't need to sell to everyone. What we need to do is create relationships that produce referrals so that people buy and we don't have to sell. So let me introduce you to John Cronin. This is John Cronin from johnscrazysocks.com. John and his dad, Mark, founded johnscrazysocks.com because they wanted to create a company together and work together, and they wanted to have a mission. And when you buy your crazy socks from johnscrazysocks.com, you don't just get socks. You might even buy your Tom Brady socks, and I realize those are blue and white Tom Brady socks and not red and gray Tom Brady socks in New England. We will only believe that Brady is blue and white. But that said, when you buy your socks, including your Tom Brady socks from johnscrazysocks.com, you don't just get socks. You see, you also get candy. And you also get a handwritten note card from John himself. And if you're lucky enough to live on Long Island, then you might just be fortunate enough to meet John in person when he hand delivers your socks to your door. Now, if you're like me and you split time between Florida and Boston, or you might live in Washington like I saw, or Ohio like I saw, then when you order your socks from johnscrazysocks.com, you don't get to meet John, you get to meet this dude, the Amazon delivery guy. That's right. And normally in this day and age, he'll be wearing a mask. We all have a relationship with the Amazon delivery guy nowadays, don't we? That's right. And we hope that when we open those boxes, there's something unique and special about them, not just the product that we bought. You see, John's mission is to spread happiness through socks. And after all, aren't crazy socks so much fun? I think I probably own 40 pairs of crazy socks. You see, I was a member of the Crazy Sock of the Month Club from John's Crazy Socks, which is a subscription-based service where they send you a new pair of socks every single month. It's pretty cool. But when people buy crazy socks, they buy ones that matter to them, right? See, crazy socks as a whole, they tell us a story. Looking at this picture, you can see Mark wearing his Hawaiian luau socks and his Hawaiian luau lei around his neck and his Hawaiian shirt. And what does your crazy socks say about you? What do they say about your contacts, right? Sometimes they're all about the hobbies. Sometimes they tell a story. And sometimes they tell a story that people, are constantly always thinking about. I mean, after all, who here doesn't want to grow up, right? Who here wants to continue being a kid and be the adult in training, as we like to say? And at the end of the day, what if you had a similar mission to John? You see, you wanted to spread happiness through socks. What if your mission was to spread happiness? How would you feel? And more importantly, how would you make others feel? You see, somewhere along the way, I think we lost track of what sales is about. You'll hear this weekend of how to get that back on track from great speakers around sales like Carol Mahoney, a good friend of mine. You see, sales has transitioned in a lot of ways from this to this. And if you despise this, just simply type in the chat, despise, right? We don't like this type of sales pitch. We're tired of people blowing up our LinkedIn after a connection with a pitch slap. We're tired of it. In fact, we despise buying cars because we know that when we buy the car and we leave, someone's going to ask us for referrals. Really? The last thing I want to do is give a car salesman 3 names of people to call to try and sell them a car. Because after all, that's not even a referral. At best, it's a lead. I might know someone that drives a car. Do I really know someone that is in the market to buy a car? Look, at the end of the day, folks, I feel like we need to hit the reset button and kind of start this all over again. Now, if you guys are anything like me, you might work for a company, you might own your company, you might have a side hustle thing going on, but you might not have an MBA in marketing, in business. You might not even have a college degree like myself. You see, I was what they refer to as an accidental business owner. That's right. I was coaching youth football for Pop Warner. And I was on their board of directors, and this is back in 2000. And I volunteered to build a thing called a website. Well, I didn't really volunteer. I think I was kind of voluntold, right? And so I go to my full-time job the next day, and I'm telling a coworker, Allison, about this project I now need to do. And she says, Oh, it's a nonprofit? I said, yes. She said, that's great. I can do a website. I'll do it free for you. Oh, great. So she builds the website for Leominster Pop Warner. We released the website. Everybody thinks Matt built the website. So a parent walks onto the field one day while I'm coaching her kid in football. Mind you, this is youth football. You know the problems that happen at youth football. And so Erica Milano walks on the field and she says, you should start a web company. And I look at Erica and I say, you should get off the field. Parents aren't allowed on the field. Actually, I said, what do I know about that? I didn't know anything about running a business. And all of a sudden, I had a website design company. A month later, I sold my very first website for $500 to a competing organization who we competed against on the football field to Neshoba Pop Warner. And I outsourced that project. The first 2 websites I ever did, I outsourced. I had no idea how to program, no idea how to design. I barely knew how to project manage. What I did know was that I was the head football coach of the little tiny guys, the Mighty Mites, teaching them how to block and tackle. And at the time, now I'm a head coach of 6- and 7-year-old football players, by the way, that could barely throw the ball. We didn't have really keep score. We were teaching them how to play. They're called the Tiny Mites and Mighty Mites. And I felt like the big guy on campus. I was the head coach. And I was now an owner of my company. And as an owner of my company, I felt like a big shot. In fact, you know what? I felt like this guy. That's right. I felt like Bill Belichick. But instead, in reality, I think I was this guy. That's right. I was just trying to figure out how to put one step in front of the other. I had a company. I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't making any money. In fact, I wasn't Bill Belichick. I need a check. At the end of the day, I had no idea how to run a business. And I despised the sleazy salespeople. And so I tried to figure out how I was going to grow a business. And I eventually figured out it was through networking and referrals. And it wasn't any different. It's just how we all approach our businesses ourselves. How can we get more referrals in our business? I started thinking about this. And as a speaker now and a referral consultant, I go back and I look at what John Cronin does with his company. And I realize one thing. What John is doing is not unique. It's not brand new. He put candy in a box. He put a card in a box, a handwritten card in a box. That is not new, folks. That's been around for hundreds of years. You see, what John did wasn't a revolutionary idea, but it was revolutionary action. You see, John did it when other people didn't. And that is the big change that you need to see in your business today. What can you do that's different than the competition so that you can stand out? So that you can cut through the noise of all the stuff that's out there, the social media, the marketing, all that stuff. How can you cut through all of that and get more referrals in your business? Today, I'm going to outline the 4 pillars that I talked about in my book that I wrote just a couple years ago on word-of-mouth referrals. And I'm going to show you how some companies have done this and how you can take these ideas and do them for your business. The first pillar is over delivery. And I define that as exceeding your client's expectations. Now, this not under promise and over deliver, right? We don't ever want to under promise. We want to give away the farm, but we need to over deliver. And the only way you can over deliver is to know what your client's expectations are. How can you impress them so much that your clients feel like they matter? That's the most important thing with this pillar. You need to make sure that people understand that they matter to you. And so the way you exceed client expectations is you pick up the telephone, you call people, and you talk to them. What What are your expectations on the product or service I'm delivering? What do you expect on timeline? What do you expect on communication? How can we communicate? Do you expect me to reply on weekends? These might be odd questions for your clients to hear, but they will see the value in you asking those questions when you do so. Maya Angelou once said that people will forget what you said and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that's what we're going for to get more referrals. This is my friend Majid McGarabon. He's a speaker from Toronto, Canada. And I met Majid when I was speaking in Toronto one time, and we developed a friendship. We're friends on Facebook. We still stay in touch. In fact, he thinks I owe him royalties for putting him in every speech that I talk about. But Majid does something so fantastic. He does retreats to help people be better speakers. And people fly into Toronto and they stay in a hotel. It's a 3 or 4 day retreat. Now, this is pre-pandemic, mind you. I'm not exactly sure what his business model is now. And we're going to get back to that business model. Majid will continue doing retreats. And it's one reason why Amy is speaking tomorrow about how to do retreats in your business. It's something you want to catch tomorrow afternoon when Amy Flores-Young talks about retreats, right? It's a very great business model. And Majid built an entire business model around this. He flies all over the country. People fly into Toronto for a 3-day retreat. They stay in a hotel, and he says, I'll pick you up on the morning of the start of the retreat. And so what do you think? He sends your typical Uber to pick him up, right? Nope. He sends a full-stretch limo. Now, what would that feel like? Getting picked up in a full-stretch limo if you showed up for a retreat. That would make you feel like you mattered, wouldn't it? For your client? That's right, Michelle, like royalty. That's exactly right. And this is how we want to make our customers feel. Now, I know some of you are thinking, look, Matt, my business model doesn't support this. My budget doesn't, this does not fit in my budget, a limo. In fact, I don't even think it would fit in my garage. I get all of that. But I want you to look at what Majid did and figure out what can you do with your business? How can you do it one more better, right? Now, some of you out in the Midwest have probably heard of the Big Ten Network. I hadn't really heard of the Big Ten Network for a long time until I bought a property, a vacation rental in Fort Myers, Florida, just outside of Sanibel Island, right on the edge near the beach. I bought it in 2015, the summer of 2015. I redid the entire property, staged the whole thing, and started renting it out on Airbnb and VRBO. And my very first guest was this guy, Jed from Michigan. Jed booked for the following year. He's a snowbird. So he booked for March. And we get 2 weeks out from March, and Jed calls me and says, by the way, do you have the Big Ten Network? And I'm like, the what? The Big Ten Network. No, I have no idea. Let me find out. So I call Comcast, and I'm like, hey, do I have the Big Ten Network? And they said, no, you don't. I said, can I get it? They said, yes, you can. I said, how much? They said, $10. Now I have some decisions to make here. What do I tell Jed? What do I do? And so I figured my first option is to buy the cable package for a month. It's $10. Jed's staying for the whole month. I can call Jed and be like, hey, $10, just PayPal me the money. Or I can call him and say, hey, $10, PayPal me the money. Oh, by the way, there's also a sports bar right down the street, less than a mile away, called Gator Bites. And they are the home of all Michigan sports in Fort Myers. So everybody's going to gravitate there for the Michigan Wolverines basketball game. By the way, if you haven't figured it out yet, Jed booked a property in March when his favorite sport is basketball, which happens to be March Madness every single year. And it's not really a problem if Michigan doesn't make the tournament, but they make it all the time. So last minute they made it, and he's calling to inquire. So now it's decision time. And I decide, you know what? Let me call Jed. Hey, Jed, how you doing? It's Matt. Yeah, look, I can get the Big Ten Network. I can get it for a month. It's $10. Pay up, sucker. No, actually, I didn't. I waived it. I'm like, it's $10, right? He's paying thousands of dollars. Why would I charge the guy $10? Then I told him about Gator Bites, and I said, if you want to mingle with other Detroit fans and Michigan fans, go down to Gator Bites and you'll meet a whole bunch of great people. But then I thought, how can I do this one more better? How can I understand who my client is and make an impact and make him feel like he mattered? And so I called up my friend in Massachusetts, Marie, who I saw on Facebook was doing wood burning on cutting boards. I said, Marie, can you create me a Michigan Wolverines cutting board with that big, bold M logo right in the middle? I want it to look like a basketball court with the foul lines and the free throw shot and the little hash marks. Can you do that for me? And she said, you betcha. I actually thought she was from Canada at that point. And so she charged me about $40, and I shipped the cutting board to Jed at my property in Fort Myers after he checked in March. And I knew he got the cutting board, not because I saw delivery notifications, but because I saw Facebook notifications for the Facebook page. You see, I sent him this cutting board, and he took pictures and put it all over social media. That's what your clients do for you when you make them feel like they matter, when you do something different. You know, this cost me all of $25. I don't even know if it's worth $25. But the impression I make with Jed is most certainly worth $25. I mean, that's probably not even worth $25 on Amazon, although it probably is with Prime, right? These days, 2-day shipping. And Jed probably will never cut anything on that cutting board. He'll probably put a nail in the wall and hang it. And I loved it so much, and it made such an impact that I had Marie make another one so I could show it on every speaking gig I ever do. I take this with me when I'm on stages all around the country, and I show people. I let them touch it, let them feel it. $25 to $40, whatever it is. She painted it. It's got all the colors on it. It is fantastic. I made Jed feel like he mattered. And Jed started telling people about my property, and they started to book. Direct booking, no extra fees from VRBO, no extra fees from Airbnb. Can you do a cutting board for someone else? By the way, you notice that doesn't have my logo on it. It doesn't have the Favorite Son logo on it. It doesn't have the property logo on it. It has no marketing information on it. It is 100% about Jed. And that, folks, is how you make it one more better. All you have to do is just think, can I ratchet this up just a little bit? Because when you do that, you make people feel like they matter. Remember that good enough is not good enough. Everybody's got the best customer service in the world. I'm so tired of hearing that. You are the only judge of your customer service. You got to step it up a notch. Right? When you're in networking groups out there, whether it's an AmSpirit, a BNI, whatever it is, everybody says the thing that sets them apart is customer service. But are they really customer service focused? Are they really doing things like cutting boards for people? When you hire a painter for a 3-day project in your house to repaint all the walls, and you walk in on day 2 and you see this, and you think to yourself, 2 questions. Number 1, oh my God, you tape around the outlets, the plates. And then you think to yourself, question number 2, wait, I had to tell you to remove the light plate covers, the switch covers? That's crazy. What really should happen with painters who don't need this book, by the way, that's a real book. Someone actually wrote a book about this. What painters need to do is take those cover plates off. And then they need to find all the cracked and stained ones and replace them, because what are they, 40 cents a piece? It's not about the money. It's about the impact. Then they replace all the covers that are bad, stained. In fact, when you paint a new wall, the worst thing on the wall is the cover plates. So tell your painting friends to always replace the cover plates free of charge, and then hand the stack to the owner that you took off. Hand them all the cover plates and say, these are extras. We put all new cover plates on, no charge, by the way. no charge. Let that sit in for a minute. That's one more better. That's good enough isn't good enough. That's applying the principle and making sure that we actually deliver on what we say we're going to deliver. So pillar number 1 is over delivery, exceeding client expectations. And pillar number 2 is listening. I define listening as speak less and care more. Speak less and care more. This is my good friend, Ronnie Bartles. Ronnie is a marketer by trade. She hails from Charleston, South Carolina. And I was introduced through Ronnie when I had my website agency for over 16 years. And she was connected with me through a mutual friend who was a graphic designer. And Ronnie and I just kind of hit it off. But here's one thing that's fantastic about Ronnie. Ronnie was a great writer. She doesn't write very much anymore. You can follow her on Instagram. She's really great over there. But she used to write a lot of blogs. And one of the blogs she wrote about was the difference between sweet and salty and how sometimes those can really go together. And the example she used was chocolate-covered bacon. And she professed her love for chocolate-covered bacon in one sentence inside a 1,000 or 1,200 word article. And then I read that article. And then I sourced and shipped chocolate-covered bacon to Ronnie in Charleston, South Carolina. And what did Ronnie do? She lit up social media. What does any marketer do? She's going to post it on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and she's going to tag my brand. And did I get more referrals from that? I don't know. I can't track whether or not bacon brought me 50 more referrals. But I can tell you that the relationship moved closer by one small step. And that means that she's more likely to send me referrals. But moreover, I've got a really cool person in my network who I'm closer with. And that's what matters most to me. I mentioned that I went to school in Hershey, Pennsylvania. This happens to be the campus of the Milton Hershey School. Milton Hershey could not have children. In fact, he filed bankruptcy twice before founding the Hershey Chocolate Company. He and his wife, Kitty, could not have children. In fact, they had a ticket for the Titanic and never got on. Think about what your chocolate life would be like now if they actually got on that boat. But because Milton and his wife could not have children, they took all their money in 1909 and put it into a thing called the Deed of Trust for a private tuition-free boarding school to help disadvantaged and poverty-stricken kids. And over 2,500 kids live at that school completely free to this day. On the left is Founders Hall, and there's the entire school campus. I know a lot about this school because I attended that school. I'm a graduate of the Milton Hershey School. In fact, every single day of my life, I wear my high school ring on my right ring finger. That school changed my life. In fact, I'm the youngest of 3 boys, the first to graduate high school, and the only one not to go to prison. That's why you see things in my life and on my walls of my house, on my pickup truck, all related to Hershey. You see me share it on Facebook if you're a friend of mine. Well, now you know the backstory. And this, looking over Hershey Park, is actually my high school, now the middle school. That's the big hill that says, "Welcome to Hershey," if you've ever been there. That's the school I attended. Now, someone just mentioned that they're working on being a good listener. And I think that's an important part of what we talk about in trying to get more referrals. I work with a great coach, a TEDx producer in Cambridge, Tamsin Webster. She is such a great part of my development in public speaking. And I actually attended one of her workshops and referred someone to attend it as well. And after the workshop, I received a card in the mail. Yeah, you know, a handwritten card. But inside the card, 12 postcards of Hershey, Pennsylvania. I have no idea where Tamsin got these. She could have got them on eBay or Amazon. I have no idea. And you know what? It doesn't matter. What matters is she understood who I was. And that connects with me. And now I tell that story in every keynote I do across this great country. Because it mattered to me. She felt like, she made me feel like I mattered. And that was powerful to me. She heard me. She understood me. This is Jack. Jack, the dog of one of my web design customers when I had my agency for over 16 years, Matt Landry, for Evergreen Landscaping out of Leominster, Mass. And Jack rode in the landscaping truck every single day of his life. And sadly, Jack passed away about 5 years ago. I simply saw a Facebook post that Matt's wife, Carrie, had posted, and she tagged him in it. And I thought, there's nothing special than the bond between a dog and their owner. And when you think about a dog that rides in the truck every single day and is on every landscaping job, that bond is even stronger. So I made sure that I made and paid homage to it. Carrie had just planted a brand new garden in their home, and I got them a memory stone in memory of a faithful friend and companion, Jack. And I had it personalized, and then I had it shipped to me, and I wrote a handwritten card and then shipped it. And then Matt, within days of receiving it, had posted all over social media. You see, we don't give these gifts so that others post on social. Posting on social is a reaction of gratitude. It's what people do to show their appreciation, to spread the word on the business. And I'll never forget, he tagged my business and said, these are the type of people I want to be doing business with. This stone probably cost me $20, but the price isn't the point. It's the thought that counts, as we always say. You got to listen. You can listen with your ears, but you can also listen with your eyes. So much happens on social media right in front of your face. It's happening every single day. People are having wins and successes. They're struggling. They're concerned. They're having health issues. You can see all that there, and you can reach out and lend them a helpful ear and a hand. Show them that you care about them. Listen to people both with your eyes and your ears. Speak less and care more. Find a way to dig deep and care about other people. The byproduct of that will be referrals. The third pillar is surprise, and I define that as an unexpected gift at an unexpected time. And you've seen some example of those already, but let me tell you, the basic one that you can actually do and get the most referrals from and build the best relationships with, I'm about to show you. This is my good friend, Scott McKenzie. Scott is a podcaster. And for 2 years, I ran a podcast. Scott reached out to me to be on my podcast. I then went on his. He runs the Industrial Talk podcast. He's based in Louisiana, in the New Orleans area. And what I did after I had him as a guest on the podcast was I mailed him a thank you card. Thanks for coming on our podcast. And then I followed up. You see, that's what most people don't do. They don't stay in touch. They don't build relationships that are long lasting. And you don't have to do a ton of follow-up. You don't have to go deep and do 4 or 5 hour Zoom calls with people. You look for people that you can connect with and you want in your inner circle, the people that make you smile like this, like Scott does. And so Scott gets on a Zoom call with me and he says, hold on, Matt. He takes his headphones off. He goes off camera and he comes back on camera, puts it on, and then he holds it up. He's like, I still have your card, man. I have your handwritten card. It's 3 months later, folks. 3 months later. If you're mailing cards, people keep them. They keep your handwritten cards, folks. You should handwrite more cards. You build better relationships and you get more referrals that way. I keep all your cards. By the way, if you want to mail me a card, my address is on my website. You should put your address on your website too. You might get more cards in the mail. It's fun. It's exciting. And people like Scott beam at the fact of receiving a handwritten card. It matters to them because you took just a few minutes to handwrite the card. It's absolutely the best way to build a great relationship. And cut through the noise. You have to go from the inbox to the mailbox, folks. the inbox to the mailbox. And to do that, you must be intentional. Be intentional. I need to send this card to this person. Do you need to send 20 cards in one day? Absolutely not. If you attempt to do that on Monday, you will fail. Don't do that. Instead, pick one person, mail one card. Or if you don't have cards, you don't have stamps, you don't have envelopes, then on Monday, I want you to go on Amazon and just order some stuff. Order them blank, no custom cards, no branding. Do not put your business card in there. The minute you send that out, you put your business card in it, it makes it about you. They know who you are. Just write a card. They will be grateful. Also on my podcast in episode 4 was Shannon the Cannon Hudson. Shannon is the founder of 9 Round Fitness Studio. If you've ever heard of Curves, this is a competing organization, but they're a boxing thing. And they're all over the country. And he came on to talk about 0 to 100. How he went from 0 franchise locations to 100 in a very short period of time. And we were recording this on Skype back in the day, before Zoom was even popular. And Shannon was talking about fitness. And he probably used the word fitness 35 times in the first 10 minutes of the podcast. You could actually go on SPR Podcast, look up episode 4 and listen to it. And finally I said, look, Shannon, you can't see me. You can only hear me because we're on Skype. But fitness doesn't really fit my vocabulary. Oh, actually it does. On fitness, hold pizza in my mouth. And he had a good laugh and we had a good laugh. And then when the podcast episode came out, a couple of weeks later, I called Domino's Pizza in Greenville, South Carolina, which is the home office of 9 Round. And I ordered a pizza, and I told the lady on the phone, I want you to write in the lid of the pizza, thanks for coming on the podcast, hope you enjoy this pizza, I hope you fit this whole thing in your mouth. And I had it delivered to him. Thanks for coming to the podcast. Hope you fit this pizza in your mouth. XO. I have no idea if Shannon actually even ate that pizza. And I don't even care. And I never got a referral from Shannon. I don't care. I did it because it was fun. It's a great callback to the conversation we had, and it builds a deeper relationship with other people. Find a way to surprise people with an unexpected gift at an unexpected time, and you will get better relationships and more referrals. The final pillar is non-self-serving acts. And I define this as doing for others for their benefit and no value or benefit to you. Doing for others for their benefit and no value or benefit to you. I was lucky enough in 2021, I think it was 19, to check off a bucket list of attending the Super Bowl. And I went there with my good friend, Roger Michelson. And I tried to recruit other people to go with me, and they just didn't have the means or the ability to go. We went to Minneapolis. It was very cold. And yes, we lost to the Eagles, but we won't talk about that too much. But for me, I didn't care that we lost. I cared that I had and shared the experience with a great person. But interestingly enough, I was receiving text messages all day. One was from Matt Landry. Another one was from my friend Kelty Kelly. And they were texting me, hey, have a great day. Don't skimp on the pictures. Make sure you text us pictures, put them on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. And as I'm walking the catwalks to get to the US Bank Stadium, which is where the Vikings play, I'm seeing all these pins, Super Bowl pins. And I buy a few of them. And when I get home, I write handwritten cards to the people that reached out to me that day to make my experience even better. And I gifted them a Super Bowl pin that I had purchased. And this one was to Kelta. A heartfelt message and a Super Bowl pin will change the way you build relationships with other people. I was thinking about him because he was thinking about me. I appreciated it. You know, one of the books that really changed my life and business was this book by Keith Ferrazzi, Never Eat Alone. You can tell, oh, wait, no, that's not really what it's about. It's not. There is a message in there about eating. It's about sharing meals with other people and building relationships. But the message I got out of that was to give without the expectation of getting anything in return. If you want to read a good book, pick up Never Eat Alone. It might just change your life around relationships. Everything I do is all about deepening relationships. And that's what I encourage you to do, is to deepen your relationships with other people. Find ways to take that relationship and move it just a small step in, over and over and over again. Small increments of building a relationship a little bit closer will impact who shows up for you when you need them most. That's non-self-serving acts, doing it for others for their benefit and no value to you. Look, at the end of the day, marketers and advertising companies will tell you that the reason you spend money is so that you can have top-of-mind awareness. And I would argue that if you do these 4 things combined in different ways in your business with the relationships that you have, that you will achieve top-of-mind awareness, or TOMA, as they say. When I am on stage and I can see a show of hands, a room of 100 people, and I say, raise your hand if the number 1 source of new clients in your business is referrals. Everybody raises their hand. And then I say, now leave your hand up if the number 1 category for your marketing spend is on a referral strategy. And everybody puts their hands down. We go after all the new clients, or we sell to our current customers. But existing customers in most industries refer 1 to 3 new customers over a lifetime. It's the referral sources, the centers of influence. They refer 1 to 3 people a year. So if you're going to build relationships, don't just build them with your clients, build them with your contacts, your referral partners, people that may never do business with you, but refer on a regular basis. Never ask for referrals, because that's what this guy does. This guy asks for referrals, and we step back when he does that. The reason asking for referrals never works is because you get 1 or 2 responses. You get, yeah. I know someone that needs a car. And you give them a name, and that's a lead at best. It's not even a referral. A referral is somebody ready, willing, and able to buy. The second response is, oh, let me think about that. I'll get back to you. And then you hear crickets. And that's a problem. And that's why people aren't getting great referrals when they ask for them. It's why they're constantly, That's the response that you hear when you ask for referrals. Instead, care about other people. Would you agree that we could care more? Can we actually care more? If you think we could care more in business, just type yes in the comments. Can we care more? Yes. There we go. Yes. Look at all of them coming in. Yes, with 3 E's, 4 E's, 5 E's, 6 E's. Great. Awesome. What I'm going to have you do is take a self-assessment. You don't have to do it right now, but I'll have Michael put the link in the chat so you can come back to it later. It's a self-assessment as to how much you care about other people. Do you do the things necessary to build relationships? And you'll get what I refer to as a caring score. So you can track what you're doing and how you can do things better. It's going to prompt you to think about a few things. The website for that is icancaremore.com. icancaremore.com. And so Michael's going to put that, there he is. He put that in there. You can take it now if you want. You just take it later at another point in time. It's fine. You're going to get a caring score. In the interest of full disclosure, it would also sign you up for my newsletter list, which every Tuesday I send out a networking and referral tip. I do not sell on my email list. Maybe once every 4 months. You're going to get a weekly email, a video less than 5 minutes that helps you grow your business on referrals. That's what I do. Get the caring score. If you don't want the videos, just opt out. That's all good. Hopefully you've learned a little bit about this today, but I want to sum it up in a real simple story about golf. My friend Doug on here will be really excited that I have this great golf slide because he has been in simulators and he loves to be out on the golf course. But the question I ask you is, can golf bring you more business? I think it can. You see, I was in a chamber golf tournament years ago, and I had an individual back out of my foursome the night before, and so I texted a client and a friend, David. He's a real estate attorney in North Central Massachusetts. Been a client for many, many years. And I said, you want to go golfing? And he said, yeah, sure, that's fine. I'm free. I think he figured it was a day out of the office. So we show up, and David lines up on the ball. He does that little waggle thing with his butt. I don't know why. And he swings, and he completely misses the ball. Completely misses. And I'm thinking, oh, boy, I thought I brought in a ringer, right? He's an attorney. He obviously golfs a lot. So I said, don't worry, David, just hit it again. He lines up, and this time, ding, and he connects. And there it goes, there, and then off to the right and into the woods. Bad news. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a long day. On the third hole, David looks at me and says, I hate golf. I said, then why did you agree to come? And he said, because you asked. That right there told me everything I needed to know about relationships. A guy came out to play golf with me, and he hates golf because I invited him. That's a powerful thing. By the 10th hole, David was done. Feet up on the dash, drinking beer from the beer cart. Not another ball to hit in sight. We get to the 18th green to finish the chamber golf tournament, and we're riding up, and he looks at me and he says, oh, by the way, about business. First time we had talked about business all day. He says, give me a call tomorrow. I want to talk about another project. I call him up, and he buys a $10,000 website from me. And within 2 weeks, referred another attorney who bought another $10,000 website. Now, I'm not standing here today in what used to be a bedroom, which is now a home studio, trying to tell you that you should go out and play golf because you'll make $20,000 in sales. I cannot guarantee that. But I can guarantee that if you build relationships with other people, you will get more referrals. You see, this is about doing business with not just people that you know, like, and trust, but I believe it's about doing business with people you know, like, trust, and care about. To the point where you can high-five them. You can high-five them in any hallway, in any business building you ever enter, assuming the virus is no longer a problem. I get it. I believe in the figurative high-five, that we really want to surround ourselves with people that bring us joy. I'm really excited. My new book is coming out this year. It's called The High Five Effect, How to Do Business with People That Bring Us Joy. It's about building relationships with people that make us happy, because ultimately, those people are the people that will refer us. You know why? Because if you care about other people, they care about your success. Referrals are the byproduct of deeper, more meaningful relationships. And that's what CarePackage is all about. How do you show up in the world, and how can you bring value to other people and care about them in a way that makes your business stand out and that you get more referrals? I hope you've enjoyed this message today. And until next time, don't forget to live happy, smile a lot, and high five everyone around you. Thank you so much for being here, folks.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt. Hopefully I'm on mute. Yes. Thank you very much, Matt. That was fantastic. I took a number of notes, and as I promised folks, when this conference really should be something where you're going to learn some new ideas, make some new connections that hopefully change your 2021. And I think I've already checked that box off. I'm going to go home. Oh, wait, I'm already home. Okay. I expect I'll probably learn more things for the weekend, but a lot of really great ideas that I took away from that. I used to send out thank you notes and then got away from it when I stopped magazine business. And of course, don't leave my house. So it doesn't occur to me to, and I'm that terrible golfer, so I would not punish anyone by inviting them to go golfing with me. But great idea. Matt, are you open to taking questions from the audience?
Absolutely, happy to help people.
All right. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, because we've got 28 minutes till the speakers speak. So if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat there, or if they're more complicated than you can write, we can bring you on stage and you can ask them with your voice face. So I'll give people a second to type in those things. While people are composing questions, that's something I mentioned I'm going to try to do is to put out an announcement I can do right now, the announcements of who are coming up in the next talking slot. So I'm going to do that now, and then we'll hit some questions, announcements. So as you can see, an announcement, when I make an announcement, it pops up in the lower left corner of your screen there, as well as in the chat. So we have 4 speakers coming up at 1:30. Ed Troxel in the marketing track is going to be talking about market differently with live streaming video. Angeles Perez in the mindset track about winning the inner game success. Christine Rose, 4 keys to a culture of innovation, and Bridget Brown, the use of improvisational games to facilitate tough conversations. All 4 of them are fantastic, so you have a tough choice, but all 4 of them are recorded and will be available in the, so whichever ones you don't see, you can watch later. It's basically enough that you can watch like one every 2 days from now until the next Conference 21 in May, and then it'll be time for next Conference 21, so life will be good. All right, so we have some questions. The first question we have here from Amy is, how many follow-ups are too many?
So I don't believe that there's a definition of too many follow-ups. I think so we need to define what a follow-up is, right? And so I think that there's a definition of a follow-up on a quote and a follow-up just with a person, right? Just with a contact. You're not trying to sell anything or following up on a quote. So I'll take that side of it, right? I'll leave the follow-up on the sales quote piece to Carol Mahoney later. From a relationship standpoint, the answer is there are never too many, right? What we want to do is space them out if we're not getting a response. So if we're following up or checking in every month and we're not getting much of a response, we'll move it out to 6 weeks or 2 months or 3 months. I try to keep it no greater than 6 months for contacts. Now, contacts will ebb and flow. They'll fall off your follow-up list. That's why you need to have a good CRM to remind you. But a simple check-in email is more than enough to recreate a dialogue around a Zoom call or just a reconnect, which is more than just enough. So yeah.
Great. Yeah, and so you say simply just a quick one line, haven't talked in a while, how you doing?
Michael, my go-to is, hey, how are you? How's business? Checking in. Subject line, checking in, and then I say, how's business? Let's catch up. That's my go-to. And it's a lot of the same for people, but they're not really getting that, right. I'm not selling them anything, so they're not getting that from other people. What they're getting from other people is, hey, do you need my service?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a good approach.
All right. And then the question actually come up a couple times is, what do you think about services like send out cards, not the handwritten but custom cards, especially for people like me who have atrocious, unreadable handwriting?
Sure. That's the number one issue I get around cards. And I will tell you that send out cards, I have a number of them in this bin. They are rarely done right. Rarely. They are often very self-serving. They have branding on them. On the back of the card is often branding. Inside is sort of a sales pitch oftentimes. And they're not handwritten. I will argue that sending send-out cards is better than sending no card at all. However, you need to be very careful because everybody knows that these are not handwritten. And so if the answer is, I'm never going to do it, I'll just use send out cards, then fine, I'm okay with that. I can't fight that battle. If the answer is my handwriting is atrocious, like Deb put in here, no one cares, Deb. They want the card. They don't care if they can read half of it. It's not the handwriting that matters. It's the fact that you took the time to do it, right? That's the big thing. And I think Amy commented too, is that she dislikes, that. And I think people, when the send out cards is done right, it'll be custom. So somebody put my book cover on the front of it, right? But this guy, Jeremy, did it right. This guy is I I was explaining send out cards on a Facebook Live with him one time, and he not only took a screenshot of this card that I held up in the frame, he's in the other frame, but inside of this, he wrote, "Thank you so much for being a guest on my episode. I guess the best way to show what I learned from you is to act on it. I'll be sure to let you know how this goes as I continue." And the upper card is a map of New Brunswick, Canada with all the ATV trails, because that's what I love to do. Right? And a web link. That's done right? But at the end of the day, the way I do it is just an unbranded card. This happens to be a picture from my Facebook account. That's my ATV. It's a Slay the Day. Inside is blank. No branding at all. No logo. I mail it out, and people get these cards all the time from me. And it's really the message you put in it that is the most impactful, for sure.
Right. And then someone else, actually a couple questions about follow-up. How do you keep track of who you want to follow up with, when, the CRM thing, or what's the process?
So I highly recommend the HubSpot free CRM tool, because it has a couple features in it that I think are fantastic. The first of which is will track your ingoing and outgoing email. So it gives you a history of the conversation with the individual, so you can have recollection. The second reason is because it has a task manager in it, which will set you up for success and allow you to set up reminders to do set up reminders to follow up with people, and it sends you reminders that you have tasks to do. So it's the HubSpot CRM, and it's the free version. You do not need the paid version. HubSpot CRM is what I use, and I highly, highly recommend it.
All right. Yeah. Another one along those lines that people can look at is SalesFlare. I interviewed their CEO on my podcast, and it doesn't have a free version, but does have a great trial. So some people play with. If it works for them, it's good. And if not, HubSpot being free is always a good. As a friend of mine once said, free is my favorite flavor of food.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with the paid versions too. I mean, I personally have a paid version because I got in earlier, and there's some features that are there that I have that are not in the paid first level version now. But at the end of the day, here's what I want to say about CRMs, and I've done a number of videos on my YouTube channel about this. The thing about a CRM is the best CRM to get is the one that you will actually use. And I'm only speaking about a CRM. If you really want to dig deep on a CRM, talk to Carol Mahoney. I know she also endorses, talks about HubSpot, and she talks about CRMs from the angle of actually sales activities, right? I use CRMs from the angle of relationship building activities, which is different. And so when I'm looking for a CRM or recommending it, I'm looking for three things. Does it do task management? Does it do reminders? And does it log the emails? Those are the only three things I'm interested in. But there are other things it will do, these things like pipelines and forecasting and all these other things. And so, there's a lot to choose from out there with regard to CRM. But CRM is never going to work for you if you don't actually open the tool. That's the problem. And so that's an important part, Yeah.
Yep. Gene had a suggestion of handwrite the message, take a picture of it, and upload it to the to send out cards, which then makes it personalized, but lets them put the stamps and do all the actual mailing stuff. All right. Anyone else have any questions? Hopefully you do, because my closing comments are only like 7 minutes.
What do you think about referral marketing groups like BNI or Provisors? So I'm a huge fan. I mean, AM Spirit, who's a sponsor of this, I'm involved with them as well in Massachusetts. They're just like a BNI or Provisors, but a lot less expensive. So here's the thing. I was in BNI for 15 years, built a digital marketing agency. Through that, that's where I learned referrals and networking and relationship strategies. And then I sold my agency for over 7 figures to someone that I met through the BNI group. It was the largest referral I ever got. The thing is, when I talk to people about, my clients are people that are struggling to get referrals, right? And so when I talk with them, one of the things I'll ask them is, where are you networking? Oh, I'm in this BNI. How's it working for? Oh, it's not working. Why is it not working? Well, I'm not getting referrals. My next question is, whose fault is that? Right? If you're in a single seat networking group or any networking group, the results of that group are 100% your responsibility. And so you can change the dynamic. Most people think that they're not getting referrals because of the other people in the group, when in reality, it's basically a mirror. We're not talking about the right things or asking for the right things when we're in the group, and we're not talking about the right things enough. You have to talk about trying to get introduced. I use those groups to get introduced to referral sources, not to get introduced to actual clients. And that's a big shift change, mindset change, that when I was in BNI with my digital agency, I would always ask for IT professionals, always. And mortgage people should ask for realtors and vice versa, right? That's the most important part. But the power of a networking group really isn't in the group. No transaction happens in that 90-minute session, right? All the business transacts outside of that session, and all the power is in the one-to-ones that you actually do with other people. How do you spend your time? What are the half-hour sessions that you're talking to people about? I do 30 one-to-ones a week right now, Michael, and I'm just building my network and getting to know people and all of that. And I'm making introductions all the time with people. I met with somebody yesterday, and I gave them 2 introductions within 30 minutes of getting off the call, right, to other people I know that are good referral sources for them, right? That's the key, sources. So you have to know what to talk about, because if it's not working for you, then what you're saying isn't resonating with people in the group. You should be getting referrals within 4 months of joining the BNI or any group.
And when you're doing those 30 one-to-ones,
Yeah.
and I'll roll Beth's question to this too, which is what format are you doing for that? But are you putting them all into your HubSpot and then keeping track, doing follow-ups and the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So you follow up with everybody. I mean, am I perfect at it? No. Am I better than the average Joe? Yeah, absolutely. Look, Michael, you've heard it before. How do you outrun a bear? You don't. You're faster than your neighbor, right?
Outrun your neighbor, yep.
Right. And so you outrun your neighbor. All you need to do is outrun your competition, right? You don't need to be perfect at what you do. You just need to be better than the next person, right? And so if you show up more often at these networking events and more, on a more consistent basis, you are going to get more referrals that way, right? And so, what's the format? So I don't recommend a 60-minute one-to-one. I think they go too long. I think, if the meetings are set for 60 minutes, that people have an expectation that they go 60 minutes. And number one issue in small business is time management, right? And so you can do double the amount of one-to-ones if you cut the time in half. So I recommend a 30-minute one-to-one just to get to know you type of thing. And then you can do a follow-up later on. Mm-hmm. And you should always do a follow-up. Sometimes people are going to get cards. Sometimes they're going to get emails. Sometimes they're going to get introductions. But then they all end up in the CRM because I'm sending it through my email, which is connected to my CRM. And the way the CRM works is if an email doesn't exist in the HubSpot CRM, it adds it, which is why I love it, right? Now, yes, you do need to fill out details down the road. I don't worry so much about that. Right? I'm focused on what the relationship is. As the relationship grows and more connection time happens with that person, then more details get added to the CRM. Otherwise, if someone just sends me an email after this conference right away, I'm not trying to get all their details and put it into my CRM. Like, that's too strong. I come on too strong or too early. Like, it's that whole dating scenario, Michael. We got to date for there's levels here, right? We're way out here and we got to slowly bring it in. We can't just go right to, this is a match made in heaven. And some of those people, you're really going to get you and you're going to get them. And so you might have more information much quicker, but generally that's not the case.
Great. See, any other? I see a lot of other people do a 30 minute. I actually, and totally just like you said, I started with the 1 hour one-to-ones, realized that I lost an entire 2-week period, just disappeared into one-to-ones. And And a lot of them, 16 minutes in, I'm like, I could be done now. And I've got 44 minutes left on the clock that I need to, because you can't read. It's kind of hard to absent yourself from when you've booked 60 minutes. It's easier at the end of 30 to say, hey, this was great. And this was great. We should talk again, and then schedule another.
So that's the FOMO thing, right? And I want to know more about that. And speaking of wanting to know more, Christine asked, how did the prom go, Matt? Well, we'll end it on this story, Michael. The prom was probably the worst experience of my life. I could not get a date in high school. And in that prom, I had 2 prom dates. If you want to know the whole story, set up a 1-to-1.
I love it. The Chippendale story would also be included in that 101?
Sure.
Yeah, I just read what he sent me. So, yeah, because now. So I realized, had I been cleverer, I would have put a networking block right now.
Well, that's okay. They all need to top off their coffee,
that is
their
true.
tea, or whatever, or get some lunch. It's something on the East Coast, so everybody needs some bacon, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah, everyone's gotta get some of the chocolate covered bacon. They're running around their house looking for stamps and thank you cards they can send to people.
They might want to go to my website, go to my contact page. There's my address. They can start to send me bacon and other Hershey related items.
Is that buildyourreferralengine.com?
That's my group coaching program. That my website is mattwardspeaks.com. Yeah.
In the chat here, mattwardspeaks.com. There we go. Now you can click on it. All right. So we're going to do a quick announcement, and then we'll have, and I'll switch it over to the room block, and that'll actually give the speakers 5 minutes to, the first block of speakers won't get a networking block in front of their block, but they will get 5 minutes before things actually need to start to get acquainted. So most of you have not seen what the room block looks like. You're about to discover it, so hold on to your hats. The way Slingshow works is that as the administrator, I hit the next block button, and suddenly everything changes around you. And then we go into the room blocks or we go into the networking blocks. So don't worry about not being in the right place at the right time, because there's only one place you can be, which is the right place. So when I hit the next block, it's going to go into the breakout sessions. You're going to see 4 boxes, which will contain the names of the speakers and their track. I didn't put the whole track title in there because I wasn't sure it was going to fit. But you can always go to conference21.com and find the full schedule. And at in each networking block, I'm going to put out an announcement, which I put earlier, about what's coming up, which speakers. In the networking blocks, you'll notice the tables have names. The names will match the tracks. So the speakers are either marketing, mindset, awesome, or fantastic. Those are the 4 tracks. So if you were in the if you were in the marketing talk and you want to talk to other people who are in the marketing talk, find tables that are marked marketing. And then there's a 5th miscellaneous or everything else or catch-all. I can't remember what I called it, but you'll know what it is. If you want to talk to people at whatever, go to the miscellaneous. If you were in the awesome track, but you want to talk to people who are in the fantastic track, you can do that. But that's kind of the guidelines on the networking. And I think that's everything you need to know. If anyone has any questions about how the Sling Show works, now is a great time to ask, because I've got about 2 minutes before I'm going to hit this button. So, yes, Amy, you are indeed awesome and fantastic, but I think you're only in one of those tracks. And so I'll give a second for people to put their questions in there that they may have. Yes, Raylene, I did see your Facebook message. I have not had the chance to look at it. As long as you're not in the next track, which I don't think you are, I have time to fix it. So I will fix that. I don't know why it's not there. Yeah, that's important. I should definitely fix that. So I will fix that for you. Okay, yeah, I should definitely fix that like right now. Okay, so if anyone else, I don't see any other questions. So I'm going to click the next block button. That's going to put us into the stage blocks. For any of the speakers who are listening right now, what should happen is you should be able to click on your room. And when you go in, it'll be a big button that says join the stage. and that should make you a moderator, and you should have full control, except for Raylene, who I need to fix that so that she'll be able to join the stage and have full control. If you go into your room and cannot get on the stage, then it is probably because either I mistyped your email or the email you gave me when you first signed up is not the email you signed in with today. In which case, I can come in and manually put you on the stage, which will work fine. The only thing you wouldn't be able to do if I manually put you on the stage is you can't bring people up on stage to interact or ask questions or whatnot. But in that case, I will just hang out in your room and I will do it for you. Hopefully 2 people don't have that problem in the same hour. So as long as that happens, we'll be in good shape. So very good. If there's no more questions, I will jump us on to the next block. And the general chat always exists. So if anyone has any questions about like, how do I get in here? What's going on? Why is there a dog barking in the next room? I probably can't answer anything in your house because I'm not in your house. But anything on Sling Show, feel free to put that into the chat there. So here we go. I'm clicking the button. We're moving on to the next block. Let me make sure that they're all signed. It looks like they're all signed. We're moving on to the next block. Hold on to your hats, everybody.